Welcome into another episode of Coach's Corner here with Ponca City Public Schools. Jordan Woodruff, your host, and joined today by Kristin Smith with the HiSteppers. It wasn't too long ago we talked to you.
I know it wasn't long at all. It all went by fast.
You were planning on it, but now it's here. The trip is coming for nationals.
It's all of a sudden it's a reality. We leave Friday morning. We're going to leave from the field house probably about 6 in the morning, and we actually start competing Friday afternoon. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's quick.
Yeah, that is a quick turnaround. Now, here's some of the questions I have. So when it comes to this, when we talked last time, you're kind of getting everything organized and together. But this week leading up to this, is it pretty much the haze in the barn, or are you tweaking things? Like, you focusing on fun? How do you handle the week before?
It's weird. I've always kind of presented it like a swim coach, and they talk about tapering before a race in swimming, and that's kind of what we start to do right before a competition. Yeah, there are a couple of things we tweak, but the hay is kind of in the barn. I say that a lot. I mean, we have done the work, and we have just got to hopefully reap the rewards at this point. There's a couple of things that we go over. In fact, I changed something real quick in the high kick this morning just to make it look a little bit cleaner. We're pretty much just running things and ready to go.
So you leave early in the morning, and then you get there, and then you compete right away. Is that a good thing because you're not thinking about it? It's kind of get off the bus and kind of get going?
Right. It is a good thing. My team actually doesn't compete on Friday. My team competes on Saturday. Okay. My officers and my soloists and duets, those are the ones that compete on Friday. So we will get there in time to have lunch about 11:30, let them kind of relax just a minute at the hotel. And I want to get them to the Coliseum by 2 o'clock, and they start performing. My officers start at 3. My solos and my duets are between the 4 and 5 hour, and then my officers finish up between 5 and 6:30.
Yeah, so you got the individuals that go before the teams, but is there a tone that's set early with those individuals?
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And with my officers. It's weird because you can almost tell how Saturday's going to go by how my officers do on Friday. We actually have awards Friday night for the officers.
Wow.
And I can usually kind of gauge where we're going to fall by how my officers do. It's weird because drill team judging is, it's just like any other type of judging. It's subjective. And, we have a different style than some teams. We have the same style as some teams that are there. And just like judges. So if I can tell that I've got a more traditional drill team set of judges, we tend to do better. If it's like young college kids that are really straight hip hop, that kind of stuff, then we don't usually score as well. So I can usually tell on Friday how we're probably going to fall.
And that being said, you can't really adjust anything at that point. So it's just like, hey, we got to do what we got to do, and you never know who the judges are going to be.
Absolutely, and they're all totally qualified, and but it's it's like anyone. They all have their specialties. They all have their likes. They all have their dislikes, and it just it falls how it falls.
It's a beauty contest in a way, right?
Yeah.
And beauty's subjective,
right?
So it's the same way when we talk about judging a contest. You may have the best performance, but you may not be maybe fourth on the list because those judges, they didn't view that performance as highly. So that's interesting you bring in that you immediately kind of come in and look and see what the judges look like. I mean, you're doing your profiling right away.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just, you can tell. I mean, I have judged for years and years and years, and obviously I'm more traditional.
Right.
And so those are the teams that I am going to kind of, be drawn to that more traditional style. But it just all depends on my specialty is probably high kick, and so that's what my teams really excel at. But it's weird because the whole Dance Moms phenomenon. Did you watch that show?
I didn't watch the show, but I'm very aware of it.
I loved it. I watched my daughter and I watched it all the time, all the years. But that kind of Dance Moms phenomenon kind of has bled over into the dance drill team world. So it's kind of those types of things. Well, that's not what my team does. So, we're much more traditional than that. So, yeah, it's just kind of interesting to see how everything evolves and moves through over time. So.
Yeah, and that being said, you talk about the individual and the team. Talk about the different types of there's different styles, but different competitions themselves that people are going to be involved in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we my officers actually do 3 different styles. My officers do military, high kick, and palm, which is very traditional.
Right.
But we are, it's weird, even within the palm category, there's some differences. So we are very traditional palm. But there are some teams that are basically straight studio jazz and just put palms in their hands. To me, that's not a palm routine, but, I'm also old. So, it's that. So there's some differences within. Now, like my soloists and my duets, that is straight studio. That is going to be your dance moms kind of things. My daughter is doing a solo. Hers is a real sassy kind of jazz, and it's straight studio. Addie Welch, who is one of my senior lieutenants and who is on a full dance scholarship next year, to Lamar University, great dance school. So she is doing a more lyrical, it's straight studio, but it's a more lyrical contemporary style. Brylan Liberton is also doing a solo. Hers is lyrical. And then Haley Wagner, one of my lieutenants, is doing kind of a character jazz. So it's almost more Broadway style. Okay. So yeah, everything's different.
All right. So, and as we talked about, it's subjective with judges. Mm-hmm. So when you go to this, you got to throw that out there. Uh-huh. But when you go to these competitions, this national competition, what are you looking for from your team? Let's throw the judges away. What do you look for and you feel like is a good trip when you make it?
Right. I feel like if my girls go out and they perform to the absolute best of their ability and they can walk off the floor and they don't have any regrets, then I feel like wherever we fall in the rankings is where we fall. Because even the best of the best teams don't win every single year. And so I feel like if we put, as my team, we do 4 different routines. If we put our 4 best routines on the floor, that's honestly all I can ask of them. And I feel like then that we are successful. And if we perform as a team and we stay as a team all weekend, and just support each other, then that's all I can ask for from the girls. And then I always tell them everything else is the cherry on top. Right. But there was one year it was interesting that I felt like we had an absolute amazing chance at winning, and we ended up not. And we got on the bus after, and I mean, they had done well. I think they were maybe 3rd or 4th, but they were disappointed. Right. And one of my officers stepped up. It was several years ago, but even before I said anything, one of my officers stepped up and said, "We do not need a trophy to prove to anyone what kind of a team we are." And I was like, that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome that high school kids stood up and said that and took that leadership.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, when you get off the bus, you've won enough national championships that people are kind of like, it's that team. Uh-huh. And they're probably saying the same thing. We hope we have this certain type of judge. Because when it comes to the traditional, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find a team out there that has as many accolades as your team does.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. We compete against some pretty good teams. We really do. And, I always tell the girls, you guys have a great reputation in Ponca City. You have a great reputation in Oklahoma. You have a great reputation with our national competition. And there are teams there that definitely know who you are, but you cannot believe your own press.
Right.
You've got to prove it on the floor, So, I always try and tell them.
One bad day can mean a difference too for an individual or a team. Right. So it's there. People don't understand the pressure that can be in that situation, and it's the same as any athlete, really.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's interesting because I always tell them right before, I'm like, we have worked all year for this competition. Everything we have done has been leading up to this, but basically, we're on the floor for 12 minutes as a team. 12 minutes. We have 4 3-minute dances. So we're on the floor for 12 minutes. So we have worked an entire year for 12 minutes. So you got to make those 12 minutes count.
And usually you do.
We usually do.
So
yes.
a couple of more things before we let you go.
Sure.
First, how many national titles?
I have 4 team national titles. I have 5 officer national titles. And then we probably have, 60 some odd category national championships.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very impressive what you've been able to do. The other thing, once again, talk about the competition, the days that's going to happen, kind of the structure of it, and let us know where that's at again as well.
We compete at the University of North Texas. The majority, there's 2 kind of venues. The majority of what we do is in the Coliseum, and it's where they play basketball. UNT plays basketball. And then the other one is just right across the street, and it's their men's gym. And Friday for us is mostly officers and solos and duets, and then Saturday is team stuff. So they do actually do a live feed. So if you go to American Drill Team School, if they go to their homepage, you can just type in American Drill Team School and go to their competitions. There'll actually be a live feed.
Will that be the team and the individuals and everybody, or just the teams?
It's normally just the teams.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's normally just teams. Sometimes they have tried in the men's gym, but sometimes
Do you know your performance times yet?
Off the top of my head, yeah, I do. Let's see, we perform as a team on Saturday at like 9:52.
Okay.
Then we perform again at 1:30, and then we perform again at like 7:15, and then at 9:20.
So if somebody wants to check that out, certainly do so, and that would be great. That's a great way for you to support without having to go down there. And of course, if you want to travel down there,
sure,
it'd be a unique and fun competition. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody that's done it and parents have been involved and gone. It's extreme and it's competitive,
Absolutely.
and it is a whole bunch of spirit. I guess is the best way to put it.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's crazy. It almost looks like a football game atmosphere because we tailgate. So like we have these.
I'm in.
I know. We have these huge tents, and all these other teams have huge tents, and you're just walking around and talking to other people. We're taking a generator and a TV so we can watch March Madness and in our breaks, and it's just fun.
I like it. I think I can be a chaperone. Is that possible?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I may have to go to that. All right, that is going to do it. Thank you, Coach, and best of luck. Go win some natties for us.
Thank you. I'll do it. I will do it.
All right, that's Coach, and that's going to do it for today's episode of Coach's Corner. Jordan Woodruff saying so long. Until next time, go Cats.